Alrighty then. We're going to finish up Act 2 today. Act 2, Scene 3 and 4. Act 2, Scene 3 starts on page 320, and we're going to go to the end of this act. So, believe it or not, with every Shakespeare play, even the tragedies like this one, Shakespeare always puts in a little bit of humor. The only humor he literally has in this play is on the next 2 pages. And it's the porter. The porter is the funny character. And what he says is funny more than how he is. He complains a lot. So you have to imagine, the working man complaining. He's living in a castle and he has so much to do. Full transparency here, I do not understand all of the jokes. I understand some of them, but some of them are, 17th century, you got to know 17th century jokes. And I'm old, but I'm not that old. So we're going to start on 320. When last we left off, there was knock, 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 knock. Everybody was knocking, knocking, knocking. You could hear it all over the whole castle. Everybody was being awakened by it. And your vocabulary word equivocate is in the porter's first soliloquy before he lets in Macduff and Lennox, and then his monologue when he refers to Macduff.
Here's a knocking indeed. If a man were porter of Hell Gate, he should have frequent turning of the key. Knock, 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 who's there in the name of Beelzebub? Here's a farmer that hanged himself on the expectation of plenty. Come in time. Have napkins enough about you here, you'll sweat for it. Knock, knock, who's there in the other devil's name? Faith, here's an equivocator, a Jesuit indeed, that could swear in both the scales against either scale, who committed treason enough for God's sake, yet could not equivocate to heaven. Oh, come in, equivocator. Oh, knock, 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 who's there? Faith, there's an English tailor come hither to hell for stealing out of a French hose.
Okay, so first, he says, who's there? It's, what's the first one? If a man were porter of Hellgate, he should have old turning the key. He should have gotten old turning the key. In other words, I have to do this all the time. And then he says, knock, 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 who's there? Faith, here's an English tailor come hither for stealing out of a French hose. So that's a nod to how the French really had much better clothes, much better materials than the English did for their clothes.
Come in, tailor. Here you may roast your goose. Knock, knock. Oh, be quiet. What are you? But this place is too cold for hell. I'll devil porter it no further. I had thought to have let in some of all professions that go the primrose way to the everlasting bonfire. And on! I pray you, remember the porter.
That's his little, I'd like a tip for letting you in. Remember your porter.
Was it so late, friend, ere you went to bed, that you do lie so late?
Oh, faith, sirs, we were carousing till the second cock.
So we know that it is the next day, right? And that's why Macduff and Lennox have showed up. And Macduff's like, why are you lying around so long that you weren't here to open the door for me? And the porter says, well, we are carousing till the second cock. And then he has a big joke coming. Drink, sir, is a great provoker of 3 things. So this is kind of a knight walks into a bar type of a joke.
Drink, sir, is a great provoker of 3 things.
What 3 things does drink especially provoke?
Oh, marry, sir, nose painting, sleep, and urine.
Okay, so nose painting. How do you get your nose painted? if blood was coming out of your nose, what's one way that you might get nose painting? How does that happen? Think about it. If you said punched in the nose, you're right. So fighting, of course. Drinking promotes fighting. Drinking promotes sleeping because people get drunk and go to sleep. And drinking a lot promotes having to go to the bathroom a lot. And then there's one more joke in here that's kind of naughty, but I might go ahead and stop it and let you think about it for a moment.
Lechery, sir, it provokes and unprovokes. It provokes the desire, but it takes away the performance.
So, lechery, right? An old lech, somebody who is lusting after a young girl. It provokes and unprovokes. It provokes the desire, but it takes away the performance. That's the joke.
Therefore, much drink may be said to be an equivocator with lechery. It makes him and it mars him. It sets him on and it takes him off. It persuades him and disheartens him. Makes him stand to and not stand to. In conclusion, equivocates him in a sleep, and giving him the lie, leaves him.
I'm just going to let that sit with you for a second. It is pretty funny. That's the only funny part in the entire play. So this is rather a dark and depressing play. But Shakespeare did leave us with the porter being silly and making naughty jokes.
I believe drink gave you the lie last night.
Oh, that it did, sir, in the very throat of me. But I requited him for his lie, and I think, being too strong for him, though he took up my legs sometimes, yet I made shift to cast him.
So Macduff's like, well, I bet you were drinking. And the porter said, yep, I was stumbling around, but I'm stronger than the drink is. So as soon as I threw up, I felt better.
Is your master stirring?
My good lords.
Our knocking has awaked him, Lennox. Here he comes.
Good morrow, noble Macbeth. Good morrow, Lennox.
Is the king stirring, worthy thing?
Not yet, Macduff.
He did command me to call timely on him. I have almost slipped the hour.
I'll bring you to him.
I know this is a joyful trouble to you, but yet 'tis one.
The labor we delight in physics, Bane. This is the door.
So Macbeth is doing a pretty good job holding the line. He's like, oh no, I haven't seen him this morning yet. Yeah, let's go ahead and go wake him up together. And of course, Macbeth knows exactly what they're going to find.
So bold to call, for 'tis my requested service.
My lord. Goes the king hence today? He does. He did appoint so.
Well, the night has been unruly. Where we lay, our chimneys were blown down, and as they say, lamentings heard in the air, strange screams of death, prophesying with accents terrible of dire combustion and confused events, new hatched to the woeful time. The obscure bird clamored the livelong night. Some say the earth was feverish and did shake.
All right, so Shakespeare also usually combines things that are not right in the normal world, like killing your king, with things that are not right in the physical world. So Lennox says, wow, yeah, there was a terrible windstorm. We kept hearing things screaming like they were dying. Things sounded like they were explosion. Sounded like there was a bird just like flying around and screaming the entire night. And some even said there was an earthquake.
It was a rough night.
My young remembrance cannot parallel a fellow to it.
Oh, horror! Horror!
Okay, that is Macduff. He's coming back because he just went to go see the king, and oh my goodness, the king is totally dead.
Horror! Tongue nor heart cannot conceive nor name thee.
What's the matter?
What? Confusion now has made his masterpiece. Most sacrilegious murder has broke open the Lord's anointed temple and...
Okay, so the Lord King, right? But it also is a kind of a nod to religion. He says the most sacrilegious murder hath broke ope the Lord's anointed temple. In other words, somebody whacked him on the head, right, his temple, and broke his head open. Now, this parallel of the king with Jesus is pretty good because Jesus is known to be nonviolent. Everybody loved him. And this is true for King Duncan as well.
Stole thence the life of the building.
What is it you say? The life?
Well, mean you, his majesty? Approach the chamber and destroy your sight with a new gorgon. Do not bid me speak. See, and then speak yourselves. Go!
What? Come, my lord Macbeth.
Awake! Awake!
All right, so Macduff is screaming for everybody to wake up. He's like, I can't go back in there again. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. He says, approach this chamber and destroy your sight with a new gorgon. And so, this is a horrible thing. So he's like, wake up, wake up. So Macbeth and Lennox go to see what's going on.
The alarm bell! Murder and treason. Banquo and Donalbain! Malcolm, awake! Shake off this downy sleep, death's counterfeit, and look on death itself.
Okay, that's another one of your vocabulary words, counterfeit, death's counterfeit. In other words, he looked like he was asleep, but he's actually murdered.
Up and see the great doom's image! Malcolm, Banquo, as from your graves rise up and walk like sprites to countenance this horror. Ring the bell!
What's the business that such a hideous trumpet calls to parley the sleepers of the house? Speak, speak!
Oh, gentle lady, 'tis not for you to hear what I can speak. The repetition in a woman's ear would murder as it fell.
Which is kind of funny since she was the one who came up with the plot, and she went and, cleaned up after Macbeth forgot to bloody up the guards.
What's the matter? Oh, Banquo, Banquo. A royal master's murdered.
Woe! Alas! What, in our house?
So she's a really good actress. She's like, oh, no, I can't believe somebody killed the king.
Cruel anywhere. Dear Duff, I pray you contradict yourself and say it is not so. My Lord Macbeth?
Had I but died an hour before this chance, I had lived a blessed time. For from this instant there's nothing serious in mortality. All is but toys. Renown and grace is dead. The wine of life is drawn, and the mere lees is left this vault to brag of. What is amiss?
That's a really pretty good comment about how the world is, just going to pieces because the king has been killed. So, had I lived a blessed time, for from this instant, there's nothing serious in mortality. Like, he's like, everything was good until I just saw what I saw, and now woe is me and woe is our kingdom.
You are, and do not know it, princes. The spring, the head, the fountain of your blood is stopped.
Ooh, Macbeth points out when Donalbain, one of the sons, comes and says, what's going on, yo? And Macbeth says, you're going and you don't even know it. The head of your family, the king, the fountain of your blood is dead. Now, if you're a prince and your father has just been murdered, you're probably not going to want to stick around and see what happens to you. Because if somebody's after the glory of being the king, they're not going to let you stay in the way. So if you know you didn't kill your dad, you're going to have to go someplace.
The very source of it is stopped.
Your royal father's murdered.
Oh.
And by whom? Those of his chamber, as it seemed, had done it. Their hands and faces were all badged with blood.
And of course, they were bloody because Lady Macbeth had spread the blood from King Duncan all over the guards in order to make them look guilty.
Their daggers, which unwiped we found upon their pillows, they stared and were distracted. No man's life was to be...
They stared and were distracted. In other words, they are like, what? Why am I bloody? Why is my dagger bloody? What is going on?
Trusted with them.
Oh, yet I do repent me of my fury, that I did kill them.
What?
Okay, Macbeth, shut up. If he would have kept his mouth shut, all would have been okay. But instead, he just blibberty blabs the first thing that comes to his mind. Oh, yet I do repent me of my fury that I did kill them. All right. Lennox went with him, and supposedly that's the first time he knew King Duncan was dead, right? He comes back, he's like, oh no, I wish I didn't know what I knew now. And yet now he's saying, yeah, I killed those guys because I was so mad that they killed our king. Anybody with any critical thinking skills is going to look at that and go, that's not right.
Therefore did you so?
Who can be wise, amazed, temperate and furious, loyal and neutral in a moment? No man. The expedition of my violent love outrun the pauser, reason. Here lay Duncan, his silver skin laced with his golden blood, and his gashed stabs looked like a breach in nature for ruin's wasteful entrance. They're the murderers, steeped in the colors of their trade, their daggers unmannily breached with gore. Who could refrain that had a heart to love, and in that heart courage to make his love known?
All right, Lady Macbeth to the rescue. She's like, oh my, I'm going to faint, and then slowly faints so that people will be interrupted. Mostly Macbeth will be interrupted from blab, blab, blabbing and digging his hole any deeper than it already is.
My hands. Oh!
Look to the lady.
Brother, why do we hold our tongues that most may claim this argument for ours?
So Donald Bain asks his brother Malcolm, what and why are we not asking, what are you talking about?
Malcolm, what should be spoken here, when our fate hid in a dagger's point may rush and seize us? Let's away. Our tears are not yet brewed.
Nor our strong sorrow begun to express itself.
All right, so, Donald Bain, who's older, says, if we say something right now, whoever killed our dad, whether it was probably Macbeth, because he just, caught himself in a lie, will come and get us. So it's better to wait to say anything until we're safe. And Malcolm's like, okay, it's a good idea.
Look to the lady. Help her away.
My lady, here.
And when we have our naked frailties hid that suffer an exposure, let us meet and question this most bloody piece of work to know it further. Fears and scruples shake us. In the great hand of God I stand, and thence against the undivulged pretense I fight of treasonous malice.
And so do...
Sorry, I forgot to point out, one of your questions that you're answering is on page 323, and it's Macbeth. The question is right next to it. What excuse for his actions do these word pairs provide Macbeth? So who can be wise and amazed, temperate and furious, loyal and neutral in a moment? So, what is Macbeth trying to say when he puts those contradictory words together? Okay, back to page 324.
Aye.
So let's briefly put on manly readiness and meet at the hall together.
Well contented.
What will you do, brother Donalbain? Let's not consort with them. To show an unfelt sorrow is an office which the false man does easy. I'll to England.
To Ireland, Our separated fortune shall keep us both the safer. Where we are, Malcolm, there's daggers in men's smiles. The near in blood, the nearer bloody.
So, the brothers are still talking, what are we going to do? Are we going to hang around here? No. Malcolm says, I'm going to go to England. Because remember, they're in Scotland right now. And Donald Bain says, well, I'm going to go to Ireland. So I know there are people in Ireland who will help us. There are people in England who would help us. But if we stay around here, we don't know for sure who the enemy is or how many enemy there is. Malcolm ends Act 2, Scene 3 with this.
This murderous shaft that shot has not yet landed, and our safest way is to avoid the aim. Therefore, to horse, and let us not be dainty of leave-taking, but shift away. There is warrant in that theft, which steals itself when there's no mercy left.
All right, page 325, and it
Three score
is
and 10 I can remember
scene
well.
4.
Within the volume of which time I have seen hours dreadful and things strange, but this sore night has trifled former knowings.
Ah, good old man. You see the heavens, as troubled with man's act, threaten his bloody stage. By the clock 'tis day, and yet dark night strangles the traveling lamp. Is it night's predominance or the day's shame? The darkness does the face of earth entomb.
So we're going back to Shakespeare writing about unusual supernatural things happening in the natural world when something is wrong with, the way that man's plans should go. So Ross is talking with a just random old man, and you can hear in the background that there is a terrible storm going on. So there are 3 things that they're going to talk about that were really weird. Page 325.
Living light should kiss it.
'Tis unnatural, my lord of Ross, even like the deed that's done. On Tuesday last, a falcon, towering in her pride of place, was by a mousing owl hawked at and killed.
And
All right, so first they say there's a terrible storm, or maybe there's even an eclipse going on. That was the first thing. The second weird thing is a falcon was killed by an owl, and that's not normally how things go. If anything, a falcon would kill an owl. It is a bird of prey. So that's kind of weird. And then they're going to talk about the third weird thing that's going on.
King's horses, a thing most strange and certain, beauteous and swift, the minions of their race, turned wild in nature, broke their stalls, flung out, contending against obedience, as they would make war with mankind.
'Tis said they ate each other.
They did so, to the amazement of mine eyes that looked upon it.
All right, so that's the third weird thing, what the horses did. You don't know what they did? Go back and look at lines 15 through 21, and that explains how the horses were acting weird as well. Okay, here comes Macduff.
Here comes the good Macduff. How goes the world, sir, now?
Why, see you not?
Is it known who did this more than bloody deed?
Those that Macbeth has slain.
Alas the day.
All right, so Ross says, do you know who killed the king? And Macduff, who's supposed to be Macbeth's friend, says, those that Macbeth has slain, the guards.
Good could they pretend?
They were bribed. Malcolm and Donalbain, the king's 2 sons, are stolen away and fled, which puts upon them suspicion of the deed.
So who do they think bribed the guards to kill King Duncan? I'm asking you. Say it in your mind. Malcolm and Donalbain, the king's 2 sons. They have the motive to kill their dad because one of them, probably Donalbain because he's the oldest, or wait, is Malcolm the oldest? Well, anyway, whoever the oldest one is will get to be king.
Against nature still. Thriftless ambition that will swallow up its own life's means. Then 'tis most like the sovereignty will fall upon Macbeth.
The sovereignty will fall upon Macbeth. In other words, he's next in line. If the princes aren't here, they've run away because supposedly they're guilty. I don't know why other people wouldn't think they're trying to keep safe. But then Macbeth will become king. And so here at the end of the rising action, we see that the witch's prediction is going to come true.
He is already named and gone to Scone to be invested.
Where is Duncan's body?
Carried to Columkill, the sacred storehouse of his predecessors and guardian of their bones.
Will you to Scone, Macbeth?
No, cousin. I'll home to Fife.
Well, out to Scone.
Ross, may you see things well done there. Adieu. Rest our old robes. Sit easier than our new.
God's blessing go with you both, and with those that would make good of bad, and friends of foes.
Farewell, old man.
Hey, there's one of the horses that didn't get eaten. Okay, so the act ends with Macduff saying he's going to go home to Fife. And that's probably a really good reason, because Macduff being around when Macbeth found out what was going on, Macduff, he's going to start thinking about the contradictions that happened with Macbeth and the guards. On page 326, there are several analysis questions, and I'd like you to write those. I think I said in the margin, maybe. And then finish your Act 2 notes and submit them. And if you have time, because I might forget to remind you, if you have time, please put Act 2 in your evidence log. So you're doing it by act. You've already written in Act 1, supposedly, last week, and you've already written in Better Never to Have Met, supposedly last week. So let's write in Macbeth Act 2. Pick out a quote. Remember what our EQ is. That's what we're going for. Quotes that prove our EQ, how the past affects the future. And then don't forget to write down the page number, the act, and the scene for that.